Good evening, everybody. I hope you guys are. I guess I'm too used to saying good evening because I usually do these streams in the evening time, but good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope you guys have started up your day right. And if you're here with me, I hope you're ready to do some learning. I got pretty far in the textbook that I was using over the past, wow, it's been 5 months almost at this point now, and I understand that since I started back all the way in February, all the way to now, I've done things to try and catch people up. I've tried to do recap lessons, I've tried to take breaks in between lessons to give people time to catch up, but I think being near the halfway mark, I think it's a good time to try and step back and go all the way back to the basics again, because I've met so many new people, and there's so many people. I mean, the following count back from when I started back to where it is now is a significantly higher number. So I think, I'd imagine there might be people who are interested in learning, but, you know, seeing someone already 8 to 10 lessons deep into the language might be a little daunting. And I found this website. This was recommended to me by a friend, Yusha-kun. He showed this to me, and it's very simple. It's a website that sort of throws Japanese grammar properties at you, grammar rules and sentence examples, and it has you sort of understand what sort of particles, what sort of words that we use in certain points in the sentences, and it sort of just breaks it down, and it gives you those exercises. It gives them to you for practice every few hours, and once you do it enough times, instead of every few hours, it'll be every few days, every half day, and so on. Ohayo, Reina. It's good to see you here. It's good to see you here. One of my favorite students. So you can see I only did a little bit in Bunpro. I just wanted to see how the structure works. So we're gonna go through some of the review, and this is gonna be very, very, very basic review. So you can see it's loading the reviews, and it'll show us some practice problems here. So it says, now we can learn the grammar we learned to fill in the blank. So I think this is really cool because it has the sentence both, it has a kanji here, the furigana, and just the whole sentence. You're ready to Nihongo Jozu. We're all Jozu now, Bodega. So we can use the grammar we learned to fill in the blank. So it says I, as the topic of the sentence, as Tom. So it shows us this translation here where the blank is what we're supposed to know in order to fill in the sentence. As for me, I am Tom. It's just two separate possible translations of the sentence. And this would be Watashi wa Tomu desu. Watashi... Where do I type it in? Wa. So you just type it in, and you hit enter, and it tells you it's correct. I think it's more interesting than Duolingo, because Duolingo is sort of just matching, mostly. Sometimes you do type into the sentence, but I think here, showing you the translation and sort of the purpose of each piece of information is really neat. Here it says, anata desu. It is you. So again, polite. And they're also telling us that it's the polite version, so we type in this. Because when you end a sentence with this, we talked about this a while ago, it's polite to say that. If we wanted to be informal, we would say anata da. Da would be the informal, des would be the formal. And it's just a way to end the sentence when there's no actual verb. Typically you end a sentence with a verb, but when there's no verb, we just use that desu. And then watashi. And then it says casual, so I, it's a kanji for I, and you can see it's watashi. It is me, watashi da. So it's just some pieces of information we learned. This is a review. So as I go through these lessons, I think, favorite student, of course. You've been supporting me since almost the beginning. I can't not feel grateful for that. So 100% correct. And now we have the study here. So the study, you can see I have 3 lessons to go through, and I think this is pretty interesting because, again, they have these paths here, and I believe the path that I'm on is the Genki 1 2nd edition, which is the same book that I use to do my lessons. And you can see there's other books to go through grammar order here. Yes, I agree. It looks more, I think it looks nicer. I think it's better. So if you were to take this Bunpro, and if you were to take Wanikani, I think both those websites combined would do a good job of teaching you the grammar and vocabulary. I think this is really just like a very great tool. What I essentially want to do moving forward is sort of just go through the grammar lessons on Bunpro, and then if I like hit a wall, like if there's too many grammar lessons or if I go through a lot of them, after I do all of that, I want to then just go through the reviews to sort of help everyone follow along. Obviously, I do reviews on my own time as well, but the study is the more important part because it's going to be where we learn all the new grammar. So here, this character here is, and I actually downloaded an extension that I used to use for virtual teaching back at the start of last year. So this is no. So, you know, there's a lot of different pieces of media that use this no character because what this is like it says indicates possession, you know, like Boku no Hero Academia, you know, my Hero Academia. The Hero Academia is possessed by me. Boku no Pico, my Pico. Wait, that's a bad example. I need another example of something that has no in it. Kimi no na wa, your name. Kimi, your, no na. The na is name, your name. Yeah, GGI, Reina, please. So this symbol here, whenever you see this no symbol here connecting like two kanji, that pretty much is a clear indicator that it's indicating possession of something. The GG hive mind. So that's no. This is kore. I remember this was probably, I think, the third lesson that I went through. So kore. And then it says, oh, this is also really cool. If you see this, if you see, although it's not common, this kanji can be seen. So this is the kanji for kore, or this is ko, and then kore. I've never actually seen this, so it's really cool that Bunpro actually shows this to you. But I guess for like fringe cases, maybe in like a novel, you might see them use this. But this is kore, or this. Kore, structure, demonstrative. That's what it, these are like sort of like the grammar parts of it. But essentially what it represents is an object near the speaker. So I also really like how it's sort of giving you a lot of different contexts for these words. This, object near the speaker. And this is mo. Mo is also to as well. And then you can see it tells us what case we'd use it in. Noun mo. Watashi mo. I am also blank. So you can see we can go to the quiz. And you can see Kore wa watashi neko desu. And it's saying my cat. Training for when you read works, read but How is 3-day kanji back to back like that read as Akira? That doesn't make sense. I know that you could read day as he, and I guess maybe somehow that would turn into ki, but I don't get where you get the ah or the ra from. That's just Are you serious? It's from that kanji that uses 3-day radicals? That's just rude. I see. Japanese has a lot of really silly wordplay things like that, though, so I guess I can't be too surprised. That's just a case of not knowing that base kanji there. But again, this is my cat, so it's possessive, so I know that it's going to be no. Kore wa watashi no neko desu. Because we know kore, as we went through the lesson earlier, represents this object. Wa, this is. Watashi no neko is my cat. And then the des, because we don't have a verb here. But typically when we don't have a verb, and we have this noun followed as the end of the sentence, neko desu, my cat. We submit, go to the next one, and then again it says, near the speaker, wa pen desu. So again, we just learned a couple pieces of grammar. When we talk about an object near the speaker, it's kore. Kore wa pen desu. Kore means this. If we were saying an object near the person being spoken to, so this is near the speaker. But say I'm behind the counter, you're in front of the counter, and you're pointing to an object near me. You would say sore wa pen desu. Sore being that is a pen. So a lot of this is basic stuff that we've gone over, but I think it's really helpful because, you know, just to get our bearings, just to get a start here. And I think what I like about this, One thing that I don't think I did a lot when I was going through my Japanese lessons is we didn't do a lot of practice problems. We didn't really practice writing sentences that much beyond the initial sentences that we did. But here we can see a lot of examples. You can see it says, "Kore wa pen desu," "Kore wa hon desu," this is a book. And I think it's also neat because it'll expose us to more kanji that we might not even see like going through wanikani. "Kore wa sushi desu," "Kore wa umi desu," this is the sea. So just a lot of different examples of the sentence using the word kore. "Kore wa nani?" and so on. And then it says, "Anata blank tomu desu." So it says also Tom. So in the case, I am a pen, watashi wa pen desu. We're all Tom now. So if you happen to be the two rare Toms that both exist in Japan at the same time, you say "Anata mo Tom tomu desu," because mo is also, if I could spell, mo. And you can see, again, more examples of mo. And I think this one is a more interesting use than the case that we looked earlier. Because you can see, "Anata mo tomu desu," you're also Tom. This sentence here is interesting because it's just "watashi mo." It doesn't end it with this because this is like a casual statement. Me too. Watashi mo. You can see here, "Kare mo sensei desu." Kare mo sensei desu. And I think going through these sentences as well will help you sort of get familiarity with some common terms, common names, common kanji. Like you'll see teacher a lot. I used to write that one a lot. This one is kawaii. I think this is interesting because typically kawaii is written without the kanji. You just see it as kawaii. Then you can see like Tanaka. That's the name there. Tanaka-san mo yume desu. Mr. Tanaka is also famous, and so on. So I think Bunpro is a really great tool, and even if you don't have the time to maybe do it yourself, maybe me going through this will help you pick up on a couple of things, or at least sort of notice some patterns that you may have heard when you like take in Japanese media, you know? Even as far as I've gone, like even with the little that I've studied, I'm able to like watch things in Japanese and like get a mild understanding of what's happening, as opposed to not knowing at all what's happening. Like, I was watching some Japanese VTubers the other day, and it just, I don't know, it makes more sense, even if I don't know everything that's going on. When I hear, like, the words or the sentences that I am familiar with, I do feel like the work I'm doing is paying off. Hiragana is considered cuter, like writing in cursive or bubbly letters. Huh. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, Katakana is kind of, like, rough-looking. Like, very, like, straight-liney. While, like, the Hiragana here, very, like, curvy. That's interesting. I wonder if people, like, go back and forth between those just to, like, change how their writing looks. Make it look more serious or more cutesy. Alright. So, what I think is interesting as well, if you've used Wanikani, one of my ideals with Wanikani is that you go through all your studies, and then you're done. You can't do anything else. You can't, like, go further in your lessons. But Bunpro seems like you're actually able to, even if you do all your grammar lessons, more grammar lessons will keep on popping up. So you're not walled once you get to all the available lessons. You can go to a new batch of lessons constantly, and that's what I want to do. I might be going through this a bit fast, but a lot of this is, like, very basic things that I feel like even people who haven't really studied Japanese directly, if you hear the things that I'm going to be going through, you'll probably, like, recognize things. Like, here we have ka, the question particle. So, like, when you end a sentence with ka, it's a question. It's also why a lot of women's given names tend to be written in hiragana instead of kanji like men. Oh, I have noticed that, actually, that, like, a lot of women, like, I see it, like, with VTubers a lot, but also, like, I've seen it in, like, shows and stuff where character names will be written in hiragana. I guess that makes sense that it's cuter. Unless you have, like, a cute kanji for your name, I guess. It's also easier to look at, you know? You introduce yourself, and you see, my name is Too Big Kanji. But you see someone write their name in hiragana, it's like, oh, I can read your name now. Like, there was someone, I saw, like, actually, I think this is a recurring problem, where I'll see a character's name written in kanji, and I'll be like, I think I read that correctly. And then I'll look it up somewhere else, like on a wiki, and it'll be like, yes! I got it! My brain's so big. But then sometimes I'll like read it and then find out that I was like completely off. And I don't know. Kanji names are tricky like that. So here, the next one we have, ka, question particle, you know? So usually it's just a phrase followed by ka. The example they give us here is, これは本ですか? So, we looked previously, これは本です said, this is a book. But adding ka at the end turns into a question. Is this a book? これは本ですか? And then, you could even add to a position. Here, これはあなたの本ですか? Where これは, this, あなたの本, this is your book would be the sentence without the ka. これは本です. This is your book. But since we add the ka at the end, これは本ですか? That turns it into a question. Is it your book? And then, これもあなたの本ですか? Replacing that wa with mo is like, you know, maybe you bumped into someone in a hallway in the high school, a romantic encounter, and then you help pick up their books. これもあなたの本ですか? Is this also your book? これはペンですか? Again, just adding ka at the end of anything turns it into a question. 明日もいいですか? 明日もいいですか? Is tomorrow also good? As opposed to just 明日もいいです. Tomorrow is good. So that's how that ka particle works. Oh, that's interesting. We've talked about this before, but here it's just talking about the adjective. And you can see they also give us a conjugation here. Present, I is good. Yokunai is not good. Yokatta is was good, or as you hear a lot in anime, thank goodness. Yokatta. Because, again, past good means you're happy for what happened, or thank goodness that it happened. And then yoku nakatta, or that was not good. That's what happens when I play a video game and I die multiple times on stream, and then I think to myself after I hit that end stream button, yoku nakatta. That was bad. And then here we have desho. So here, desho is right, or probably asking for confirmation. So it's like after you say something, it's similar to ka, where, you know, you ask that question, but I feel like this is like more casual. Oh, polite, assertive, conjuncture guess, low confidence, can be based on some information but doesn't have to. I think these are also really useful, you know? Like, the Genki textbook does have its, like, explanations on how things work, how things are, but I think these, like, little short breakdowns are very useful as well. Long mas form plus desho sounds unnatural in Japanese. Therefore, desho, or daro are usually paired with short form. So here it's talking about how you probably use desho not with a formal verb like ikimasu or like tabemasu. You would use it with short form verbs, which again was a topic we talked about, but I'm sure we'll get into as we progress. But desho is a polite, assertive, or just sort of low confidence, but it pretty much means yeah, or that's how I remember it, actually. That's actually how I remember it, Reina. You can't read what she said in chat there. That's the title to the first opening to the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, also known as Boken Desho, or It's an Adventure, right? Right? I recognize that one. So you can see examples here. これはあなたの本でしょ? So again, it's like asserting that it's their book. いいでしょ? Probably good. So you could say, like, it's not asking, like, a question necessarily, but saying, like, you know, probably. 今日は雨でしょ? It'll probably rain. 明日も雨でしょ? So just saying that it might rain, it might, maybe, possibly. Or 嫌いでしょ? Asking it as a question. You don't like it, right? 今日の天気は どうでしょうか今日の天気は Today's weather is どうでしょう Is our weather the same today? I think I might be reading that wrong, but I think that's what you said there, Reina. I know the 今日の天気 and then はどうでしょうか Oh. Is it asking like what today's weather going to be like? I think that's what it would read as, right? それはいい車でしょ? This is a good car, right? So again, this show is sort of like, it sounds more chummy to me. Like, it sounds very friendly. Oh, so how's the weather looking today? Oh, okay, that makes more sense. And then, we just gotta go through the quiz. So, これはペンですか? Because it's just asking, is this a pen? It's not like saying, this is a pen, right? And that's sort of the difference between ka and desho. Like, desho means, like, right, while ka is just a straight-up question. これはいい本です. いい being good. And you don't have to write out the kanji, you can just write いい. It's common enough that you don't always need to write the kanji for certain words. Like things like good or cute. There are a lot of words that you can end up finding out are typically written just as their hiragana, like without kanji. If you check out Jisho, usually like if you look up a word and the definition is followed with typically written using hiragana, then it's pretty common that you won't actually see that kanji all too often, but it's good to be familiar with it. これはあなたの本 polite assertive. Again, using that right instead of is this your book? It's this is your book, right? You're being more assertive. Like, you're saying this is probably his book, so I can like sort of assert that to them instead of just asking if it's their book. でしょ? So we'll go through a couple of these, right? We've gone through 6 so far. Let's see. I'm trying to think what would be a good amount of grammar rules to go through in a single stream. I think it might depend also on like the depth of each rule. So I think we can play it by ear for this first stream, because I do want to like progress through this. But then you think about this, you think about things like wanekani. I'm gonna go through like what? End up going through like 50 of these, and then I'm gonna like come back 4 hours later after my stream, and it's gonna show me 50 reviews, and I'll be like, and then I'll just die. But you know, it shouldn't take too long. It should be pretty easy. Because again, we're at the basic part right now. I think when we get to the harder grammar parts, that'll be when this will feel more like a slog, but a lot of this is pretty basic review. Here we have sore. So like I said, prior to this, we talked about kore, or this. But sore is an object near the listener for a previously mentioned noun. And then it says, although not common, this is sore. I'm pretty sure this I've seen used as the kanji for foundation. So it's interesting that this, written this way, is sore. So again, you can see there's actually a lot of related words here. Kore, sore, are. They have kono, sono, ano, koko, soko, asoko, and dore. So back when I talked about this all the way, I think this was back in March it had to have been, this lesson here on koso ado. A lot of these re, a lot of these no, a lot of these ko, these are all about position. They're all about where objects are in relation to you yourself and the person that you're talking to. So kore, which we talked about a while ago, mentioned an object near the person speaking. Sore is an object near the person that you're speaking to. So the examples here, sore ga ii desu, you know, maybe someone's playing a saxophone and you're walking past and you point at them, sore ga ii desu, talking about the music that they're playing. Or sore wa hon desu, you know, someone's like sitting across from me at the library reading like a nerd, and I don't know, someone asks what they're doing, and you just point at them reading a book, and you just say, that's the book they're reading. And here they have some readings. Ooh, this is actually pretty interesting. So they have kore, sore, are, and dore. Explanations. That sure is a book. Yeah, that guy sure fucking is reading. Explanations and example sentences. This/that plus adjectives. Oh, this is also fascinating. They have where in each book this comes up. So in Genki 1, it's page 34. Mina no Nihongo, it's page 20. So it's really nice that Bunpro has a sort of glossary for you as well. I think this is a very good tool. Even if you're using this alongside a book, this is very good supplementary like practice problems. Oh, wow. The speed at which this goes is really interesting too, because it took me, what, like 4 or 5 weeks to get to ru verbs? So here it says ru verbs or ichidan verbs. So casual, short form, and then the polite mas form. Wow, this Bunpro, this is really interesting because I feel like there's a lot of note-taking that would need to happen here because, you know, they throw all of this at you just immediately like this. So you can see they have the mas form. This is sort of like if you're reading a book or if you're like typing a request to someone, you know, you're asking someone to eat. Tabemasu. Tabemashita, that's the past tense. Tabemasen. I'm just speed running to N3 with these grammar terms. Tabemasen, not eating right now. And then tabemasen deshita. That's the past negative. So it's pretty cool how they like list this all out. This is definitely the kind of thing that I would, if you were doing this on your own, I would recommend writing this down in a notebook or something because, you know, as they say, when you write things down, it really does help you internalize what you're learning. I did that a lot with Wanikani. I did that a lot with the kanji that I was learning, and I think that's probably a big reason why I can more easily still recognize a lot of kanji even though I've been slacking on my Wanikani practice. If I were to open up Wanikani right now and see how many lessons I have to go through, actually, it's not that bad. It's only 289. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. But it's just good to have these kinds of tools here, as long as you're being proactive with them to help you learn better, you know? Help you internalize things. The short form is also referred to as the informal or plain form. When it is used at the end of the sentence, the phrase becomes casual. And I remember when I had Bimo on stream with me when she was talking with me about this. Plain form, it's pretty much, as it says here, the informal, casually talking with someone on the same level as you. You would use these forms here. You would use taberu, tabeta, to say that you did eat, tabenai, to say that you're not eating yet, or tabenakatta, you know, that you haven't eaten. And it's not necessarily just for informal conversation. The plain form is also used for certain other types of conjugations, and that's where things get tricky. So I'm interested in seeing how they're going to sort of incorporate that in the future. How they're going to incorporate those other grammar rules. Because this is already like jumping pretty fast. You can see, to look, we have the verb miru, and to turn that into a verb, we turn it into mimasu. Casual to polite. Oh wait, no. This is it's just giving us the casual and polite. So minai is to not look casually, and then mimasen, I am politely not looking. Taberu is to eat, tabemasu is to politely eat, and so on. So you can see, it looks like the way that Bunpro is going to be doing this is that it's going to have you learn the tense cases and the positive and negative at the same time for both casual and polite, which I think is pretty interesting here. I think it's pretty helpful. So you can see here, let's see how, once we get to the quiz part, it'll show us what to do. Would you like to go eat versus Ayo wanna grab a bite of food? Yeah. That's pretty much how it is, you know? Like, you know, you talk to your boss, you would say, hello, boss, would you like to go out for dinner sometime? As opposed to when you're with your friends, where you go someone like, hey, yo, we going to beat-ups tonight? It's just two different ways of speaking, you know? I wouldn't talk like that to my boss. Some people don't have any fear. Some people would talk to their boss like that, to which I would say, I'm glad that you can have such a relationship with your superior. And here we have subject marker, denotes who, what an action performs. Identifier identifies what is unknown to the listener. So here, they have a small explanation to differ between ga and wa. Ga emphasizes what comes before it, while wa emphasizes what comes after. That doesn't help me at all. I literally do not know what they mean here. I might be dumb, but this doesn't mean anything to me. Unlike wa, ga is used to describe things that you are seeing, experiencing in the moment right now. Okay, so it seems that, unless I'm interpreting things wrong, ga seems to be more active in its description of things, while wa seems to just be talking about things simply existing as they are. So examples. Watashi wa hon ga suki desu. Books are the things I liked. Subject to the sentence marked by ga. So I, and then books are what they like. Nani ga ii? What is good? Nani ga ii desho ka? I wonder what is good. Or what is good, I wonder. Kore ga ii desho? This is good, right? I guess, yeah. So, like, kore ga ii desho? I guess that's saying, like, you know, like, you see a car, you just slap that bad boy in the hood, saying, this is good, this, now this is good. But, like, if you say kore wa ii desho, it's more like, this is good, right? I don't even know, that just seems so weird. I know a lot of people talk about how wa and ga are just this, like, sort of weird subject focus versus description focus. Oh, yeah, describing it as good versus the subject itself being good. That makes a little bit more sense, I think. I think that's a good way to put it. So, near the listener, blank wa anata no hon desu. So that is your book, you know? You know, you run into someone, your books go flying. Instead of just dropping the books when you run into someone in an anime, you know? Maybe they, like, tackled into you, like a Genki girl would tackle you in an anime. And, you know, all your books get sent flying backwards. And then you see that book fly over there. Sore wa anata no hon desu. Sore wa anata no hon desu. That's your book. And then casual. Oi, which gang are you from? You gotta go. Which one of you flatfoots ran into me? So it says tabemasen. So they want us to use a casual negative as opposed to the polite negative, which is tabemasen. So the casual negative to not eat is tabenai. And then just click or press A for alternate grammar. Oh, and that's pretty cool. So even if you know the reading, you can see how it turns into the kanji like that. So it's a pretty good just comparison to have there. Next. Watashi wa hon ga suki desu. Books are the thing that I like. So if you change to anything, you know, watashi wa gemu ga suki desu. Games are the things that I like. So, ga. And I don't think there's, like, a case in which you'd use wa when you're using suki desu. I believe when we went through the textbook, when we went through the lessons, we used wa for that as well. Or we used ga for that. So when you're talking about things that you like, it's always ga. Alright. So next, let's see. How far have we gone so far? We've gotten 12 things so far. We've done 9 studies so far. Let's do... I think it'd be a pretty safe to go through 15 lessons. So we'll go through 2 more sets of 3. I think that'll be good. What's this ghost? Oh, it might be like what I've done in the past, and then self-study? I'm not sure. Seems like there's a lot of tools on Boonpro to mess around with. You can see they have that study streak just like Duolingo, where, you know, they want you to constantly be studying every day. They have this nice progression bar here where you can see there's 114 lessons to learn for N5, 178 for N4, 219 for N3, 210 for N2, and it's really, really, really scary. Then it drops to 120 for N1. That's like, you know, like, you go through a game and like you just get mobbed by hordes and hordes of enemies. Like, you know, you play Fire Emblem and you get to like the last few maps and then it's just like a slog of army, like Cog of Destiny having like 48 enemies to your like 12 units. And then you get to the last chapter and it becomes a quality over quantity thing. Like, this is almost cut in half. I'm wondering how hard the N1 grammar concepts are, that there's only 120 left there. I've never heard of Memrise. Is that like another language learning app? Let me look up that right now, see what that is. Memrise. M-E-M-R-I-S-E. Oh, Memrise versus Duolingo. Oh yeah, it's another language learning app. So yeah, probably. I feel like they probably use a lot of similar ideas. You used it for a hot moment. I think a lot of, at least with Japanese, I feel like a lot of programs focus on that SRS, that spaced repetition system, so that, you know, you do it now, and then you could see at 9 p.m. I'm going to get 9 reviews, and at 1 a.m. I'm going to get 3 reviews. We can assume that these are going to be the 9 that I just went through. Yeah, N1 is notoriously hard to the point native speakers have problems passing it. I've also heard things that, like, there are people who do, like, grind out and become machines on, like, N2 and N1, but then for some reason, like, I don't know, maybe they're, like, grammar monsters, but conversationally they, like, fold. It's like, you know, you think about people who play fighting games, you know, like, people who grind out execution, people who grind out how to, like, do, like, the long combos or, like, touch of deaths. But then you fight them. You fight the lab monsters who just grind out those combos, but then you realize, these guys got no neutral game. They can't land a hit to save their life. They could do a combo, but can they actually execute the combo in a match? Can they get to the point in time where they can use everything that they've grinded out? And I wonder if that's like the case for some people who like focus so hard on learning like reading and writing that like they don't do enough conversational practice to be able to like speak well. I wonder if like that's a thing that happens. I could imagine it. Like I remember back when I learned German in high school, I was pretty good at writing German, but a German exchange student came to the school and my head was spinning. I could not speak with them well. However, they did show me some really strange videos, you know? You know, back when, like, shock videos were a thing. I don't even want to name them because they're really bad. But, I guess I have to name it because it's gonna be this impression. Actually, I don't know if I should do the impression. But, like, he would just, like, his first interaction with a lot of people, and I guess this is because who he was staying with, you know? When you're an exchange student and you're living with someone, you probably adopt a lot of the, like, ways of living and the ways of talking of that person. And he would ask, like, so many people, hey, have you ever seen Glass Ass? And please don't look that up if you haven't seen it. It's a very old video. It's not a good video. It's horrifying. But, like, that would be what he would ask, like, everyone that he met. And I swear, I heard him ask that question more than I've actually heard him speak German. Yeah. Conversation is just hard, you know? Like that time when I was, when Bimo was quizzing me, when she was, like, giving me all those prompts, and I just kept on crying for most of it because I couldn't get through most of the, prompts. The direction one, I, like, got carried by chat for, but it's just, you know, it's one thing to learn the grammar and the structure, and it helps to read. Being able to read definitely is, like, an important thing, but then also, it's important to get that conversation as well. Let's see, what's the next batch of grammar here? Ga aru. Yeah, it is, I agree. And I remember a friend of mine, he recommended using, I think it was called Hello Talk, where you would get, like, Japanese people, or it would be, like, an exchange, so, like, someone learning English could find someone learning Japanese, and they could sort of, like, talk to each other. I remember it was, like, back last year when I was, like, first, like, studying Japanese, or getting into it again. He was telling me about how he was, like, having conversation with people, and it helps you, also meet new people, and it also just being able to talk to people who are fluent in that language just helps so much. I'd imagine, yeah, being in a conversation group would help your proficiency skyrocket, especially if you're, like, actively speaking. So here we have ga aru, or the formal polite version, which is at ga arimasu. So to be or there is. It's like that existence, you know? Aru is to be, essentially. But usually when we talk about things being there, this is the particle that we follow it up with. Not wa, but rather ga. Ga is often omitted in casual speech as well. So sometimes we'll just say the arimasu or the aru without actually including that particle. Noun ga aru, you know? You could say neko ga arimasu or neko ga aru. There is a cat there. Hon ga aru. Pen ga aru. Jikan ga arimasu. You know, maybe you're like rushing to do something and then someone has to reassure you. There's time, no rush. Jikan ga arimasu. Or, you know, you wake up and someone like wakes you up because, you know, you slept in past your alarm. Shigoto ga aru. You got work. There is work to do. Or you fall asleep at your desk, you know. Your boss doesn't pay you to sleep at the desk. And then readings, breakdown and example sentences. Oh, wait, this is pretty cool. So you could click this extra example here. JLPT sensei. Ga arimasu. There is for non-living things. That's really cool. They have all these extra resources. Aru and iru particles. There is, or I have. Oh, this loads up a video.
Sure.
So yeah, this is really awesome. Like, I thought Wanekani was really good with like the resources they have, but this offers so much. And essentially, even if people come into this late, I think anyone who's motivated enough to like sort of like breeze past these, because I'm only going to be going through the lessons on stream. I'm probably going to do like maybe 15 a stream. 15 to 20 I think would be a good number. Like, if we think about it, if we think about how many lessons there are, which we'll find out, we'll get back to how much I should go through once we get back to the main page. So ga aru being there is. Koko. So we did kore and sore, and now we have koko. Koko being here. This place. And again, oh wow. Although not common, this can be seen. Imagine being the guy to just write a book, and instead of being kind enough to use koko here, you write this monstrosity. Like, just to give people a hard time. This is so much easier to write out. So you would be the one author. That guy is Akira. Oh no! Mr. Hee Akira. Hee because whoever wrote that out is probably laughing to himself for writing it like that. Koko desu. Very simple. Here. You know, maybe like you're walking with someone, they walk up to like a door and they say koko desu. Here. Koko ga ii. Koko mo ii. No worse translating his work. You had to translate his work? Huh. Koko wa watashi no oba-chan no ie da. So here, koko wa, here is. Watashi no oba-chan. Oba-chan being grandmother. Watashi no oba-chan, my grandmother. No house. Or no ie da. So you can see actually, this sentence here, this part here. Watashi no oba-chan no ie. So here they used a double no. The possession of possession. Not just my grandmother, but my grandmother's house. You can use multiple of that same particle to sort of get deeper and deeper with the meaning of it. Here's my grandmother's house. You could even go further, like, here's my grandmother's house's bathroom, you know? Watashi no oba-chan no ie no toire. If you wanted to go even further with that, go through possessionception. And then to, and / with. Noun to noun, or noun to verb. So I think this is also pretty cool, because it's giving us the particle to. When I was doing my lessons out of Genki, I believe that, yeah, Genki 1, it talks about to at first at page 81, but this here, noun to verb to represent with, doesn't actually get talked about until a few chapters afterwards. So I do think that they could do a little more with this to sort of explain which reading happens at which point. Structure legend. Yeah. But it's still a really helpful tool, you know, just to see when they first talk about the particle. So to is and. You know, when you connect two verbs, it's saying blank and blank. Yami to hikari. Darkness and light. And then with, like you say a noun, I don't know, rena to, I don't know a place. Or no, it's noun and verb. Rena to game wo shimasu. Playing a game with Reina, you know? So to, when you connect two nouns, is and, but when you use it with a verb, it means that you're doing something with someone. Kore to sore wa watashi no desu. But this is also pretty interesting. It's also why I like looking at these examples, because on Wanekani, they throw a lot of like wild kanji at you, like expecting you to be able to read it. But here, they throw a lot of basic sentences and they give you the furigana. It's really easy to read through. Kore to sore, this and that, are watashi no desu. And what's interesting is watashi no, they don't follow it up with a noun because the nouns that are being possessed are at the start of the sentence. So it's just watashi no. That's your particle. Well, I would imagine that's what being stuck in a room with a crocodile and crab would be like. The fusion of the crocodile and crab just coming at you with like crazy kanji, and you're just crying in a corner. It's I'm trying to think of that picture, like I know they use it for fighting games when like they have like gorillas and like the guy crying on the ground surrounded by the gorillas, but instead it's just the crocodile and the crab with a bunch of kanji surrounding them, which actually evokes a kind of monogatari aesthetic now that I think about it. Anata to watashi desu, you and me. Watashi wa sensei to tabemasu. So here's an example of noun plus verb. Sensei to tabemasu. I will eat with the teacher, where to is being used as with instead of and. And then it says, kore to kore mo anata no desho. So again, kore to kore, this and this. Two things that are near the speaker. Mo anata no desho. So again, I like these sentences because they're also putting together everything that came before. It's really doing a good job of building up on the topics that we've gone through so far. Kore to kore mo anata no desho. Where that desho is that right, like sort of asserting that what was dropped is yours. And we got katakana to hiragana ga arimasu. There are katakana and hiragana, which seem to be the case in a lot of sentences, especially if they include foreign names. Butaniku to toriniku ga suki desu. I like pork and chicken. So again, to can be used for and as well as with. Going through this quiz, we'll go through this one and then we'll go through one more set of three, and I think we'll call it for that for the stream. There is a book. Hon aru. Oh, ga aru. Yeah. So they mentioned, just going back here, you can omit the ga for casual speech. But even if you don't omit it, hon ga aru is still valid. It's still casual. As long as you're not saying ga arimasu, that is polite. But hon ga aru is just saying, there's a book. Place in your speaker. Here is good. Again, just like how kore represents an object near the speaker, a place near the speaker instead of kore would be koko. And then anata, exhaustive, that's what it says. You and me. Anata blank watashi desu. Simply you and me. Anata to watashi desu. So we can see 14. Koko ga aru. I could have sworn I did 3. Koko ga aru, and we did... Good? Anyway, I could have sworn we did 15. Let's go to the next set. I think Oh wait, I wanted to go back. Good evening, good afternoon, Sire Incognito. We're just doing some Japanese practice right now. Usually I do this on Thursday evenings, but I was a little busy, so we're doing the practice today. This is a sort of reboot. So I started doing Japanese study sessions like all the way back in February, but I wanted to sort of reboot it from the beginning because, you know, I met a lot of people. I know that there are people who might be interested in picking up these lessons, but, you know, being 10 lessons in and trying to follow along from there, it's daunting to catch up. So we're starting all the way from the beginning again. Yoku dekimashita. You can do it. I think that's what that means at least. So we can see, if we add this all together, 114 plus 178, that's 292 plus 219, that is approximately 312, 512, then we get to 722, 844. No, 834. You did well. Oh, okay. There's about 800-ish lessons here. So if we want to think, to be realistic, you know, how many weeks I would want to do this? 800 lessons. If we were to even just round to 800 and divide that by, you know, there's 52 weeks in a year. 800 divided by 52 means that if I did 15 lessons per week, or if I went through 15 pieces of grammar per week, I would actually finish by a year. But, you know, let's go a bit further, deeper than that. We could go through 18. I think 18 is a good stopping point. So we've gone through 12 so far. We'll do 2 more sets. So the next word that we have here is are. So what are is, we talked about earlier, we talked about kore. When we use kore, we refer to a noun that is near you, the speaker. Sore represents an object near the person that you are speaking to. But are is what happens when we talk about an object far from both the speaker and the listener. You know, maybe you're standing next to the person you're talking to, and you just point at like a big tree in the distance. That's are, that over there. And this is interesting here, although not that common, they show this kanji can be used. So, are wa nani? What is that over there? Or, are wa densha desu? You can see densha. So this character here, this is train. This is definitely something that you'll end up seeing a lot because, you know, a lot of travel in Japan is done through train. So densha is a pretty common word. You probably see it just going from train to train. So if you can recognize that, you could know probably how to get to the train station. Are wa densha desu, or are ga ii desu. Because are ga, that over there, ii desu. Ii is good. You tend to ignore sore. You always use kore or are. That's fair. I can see why one would do that, because, you know, it's pretty common. It's pretty common when, typically when you're talking to someone, you're not that far away from someone that you would have to use sore. So, you know, you're standing with a person, so you could say kore because you're standing in the same place, and an are if something's far away from you. I could, like, imagine you using sore, like, at a store, maybe? Like, you're talking to someone behind the counter, or, you know, maybe you guys are across the street from each other, you're just yelling across the street like two buffoons. Sore wa! But yeah, I could see why sore would get ignored because of just how it sort of pops up in conversation. Because it's not often, or yeah, oh yeah, when you call someone via the telephone, you know, you would be giving them instructions because it'd be near them, and if you're on the phone, unless you're like in the same room as them, because, you know, sometimes maybe someone loses their phone and you have to call their phone because they lost it and it ends up being like underneath their seat. Here we have nda or noda. Oh, this is interesting. Do I know this? I actually don't think I know this. So explanatory, explaining emphasis. The fact is a casual variant that evolved from no due to being easier to pronounce. Therefore, some consider no to be the stiff when used, to be stiff. So verb no or nda. So when paired with the question particle ka, ndes, or no this implies that the speaker is seeking further explanation from the listener. The casual nda or no da are also acceptable unless da comes before the question particle at the end of the sentence. In casual speech, da or this can be dropped entirely. Ii no or aru no. Oh, so it's asking for more explanation. Ndes or no this. Interesting. I don't think I'm familiar with this actually. Iin desu ka? I've definitely seen this before though. I've definitely seen things written out like this. So it's pretty cool that I'm getting like this sort of explanation. Let me also zoom in because I feel like the readings here could be a little bigger. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what we like to see. It just looks pretty small in my OBS preview, so I want to make sure that it's visible to everyone. Iin desu ka? Akka ga iin desu ka? So, so it's just like making sure. Is red good? Ii no desu ka? Interesting. Oh. So as opposed to just saying ii desu ka, where you're just asking if it's good, ii no desu ka would be asking like, are you sure it's good? If you start with des, you can't stop. It just makes it easier to... I believe that. It rolls off the tongue better. Like the no feels like... It feels like it's chopping. Like, you know, it's a separation. Kore ga iin desu ka? Yeah, it just rolls smoother. Kore ga ii no desu ka? Hawa ga arun desu. Yeah, especially here, arun desu ka, as opposed to aru no desu. Hawa ga arun desu. Oh, so the is also used for explaining and not just asking for explanation. Oboerun desu. Koko wa ii no desu ka? Is here good? Okay, okay. That's pretty... That makes sense, that makes sense. I'm surprised that I already got something that I'm not, like, familiar with this early on. Ooh, and this. I've seen this a lot, but I didn't fully understand or see an explanation in my textbook yet. Daro. Daro is probably, or right. Looks similar to, desho. Casual, assertive, masculine, conjecture, guess, low confidence. Based on some information, it doesn't have to. And yeah, it's related to desho. That's pretty cool. Desho but ikemen. So it might as well be something that I use, right? Koko ga ii daro? Anata daro? It's you, isn't it? En ga aru daro? Me trying to do the ikemen voice. Kore wa mizu daro? This is water, right? Kore wa mizu daro? So, desho but ikemen. That's a funny way of explaining it. Desho and daro to express a strong amount of certainty. Okay, a strong amount of... Is that why it's masculine? Because it's a strong amount? Alright. Quiz me. Let's see. That over there is a book. Are wa hon desu. Iin desu. Oh, ii no desu. Because it's polite. Ii no desu ka? And then... Or is it... Or would it be nda that's the casual and ndes still works as polite? Let me make sure. The casual nda. Oh, no da is the casual. Ndes is the... So it's still polite if we do ndes. Okay. You can also do a casual form of ii no. Oh, okay. Ii no. Without having the da or the this attached at all. And then koko wa ii daro. So daro. I like this. I like how... Oh, is very casual. Okay, okay. So it is still casual. I like that Bunpro is giving me more of that conversational, like, in different contexts of the same kind of idea, because I feel like that's something that I missed a lot going through just the Genki textbook. And we'll go through one more set of 3. And then about 7 to 8 hours from now, I will look back and regret everything that I did. Ooh, sudo. I know sudo. Sudo we attach to any verb, and it pretty much makes it so that it's pretty much the verb suffix for any noun that we attach a verb to, or we turn into a verb. When we verb a noun. Sudo. And we got itasu. I've never seen this before. Nasaru. I've never seen this either. Nyan nyan sudu. To nyan. Sakao sudu. Sakao shimasu. That's the more formal version. Nani o shimasu ka? What will you do? Watashi wa benkyou suru. Yeah, I mean, we can do like noun and to do a noun. But I think we could also do like watashi o benkyou shimasu. I think that would also work, right? Is very chattily. Oh, okay. So when you do the that's like more like you're talking fast with someone, like how you'd be talking fast with someone like in casual conversation in English. This is, I saw. Kimi wa bunpo o benkyou shimasu. Yeah, there we go. So benkyou shimasu as opposed to benkyou o suru. And then they have the, oh wow, yeah. Let's look at another example here. Imabi, irregular verbs. Out of all the verbs in modern Japanese, there are only 2 that can be called truly irregular, which are suru and kuru. And they only have slightly different conjugations, like shimasu and kimasu. Why do they have this vocab list here? This is a very long vocab. Oh, because that's the vocab that they're going to use for this. It's a very good resource that like links to other resources. Oh, and we know that this is the verb indicator. Marks the object of an action. So like, kanji o oboeru. Kanji being what we're working with. Oboeru, memorize. Kanji o oboeru. Nani o tabemasu ka? What are we going to eat? What? Eat. Bata. You couldn't have used any other food for this example. You're just gonna go straight up saying that this guy's eating a stick of butter? Bata o taberu. Otsu o miru. I think that's just really funny. I'm just gonna eat an entire stick of butter. Paula Deen! I know, I'm just reminded of, there's that one article about the 2 incredibly chaste couple that even after marriage, they will never ever do the devil's deed. And the man said, whenever I start to get impure thoughts, I start to eat an entire raw potato to get the edge off. That's what I think of when I think of people eating, like, ridiculous things that you shouldn't be eating whole. Paula Deen. And Soko, that place. Just like Sore being that over there. Eating entire stick of butter. ERBS has you eating some weird stuff, I'll be honest. Whatever helps you survive, though. Man, I haven't played ERBS in a hot minute, though. I feel like they probably added so many characters since I last played. Alright, alright. So Soko, there, that place. And it's near the listener. That's pretty simple. Soko ga pasokon. A critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with the free expansion Heavensward included up to level 60. Habun Soko. Soko no restaurant wa oishii desu. This is an interesting translation because it says the restaurant that is there is delicious. Like, I get that you can say that a restaurant is delicious, but we're not eating the building. I feel like, even if you don't want to be like literal, this would just be the restaurant over there has delicious food. But I guess you don't say food, but I guess it didn't include the word food, so can we really use it like that? That's kind of funny though. Alright. Watashi wa benkyou o suru. And then... yeah, I mean, I know it's correct. It's just sometimes you want to, like... That's why good localization is important, you know? Even if it is correct, there could be translations that sort of match better. You call the building delicious if you say it has delicious food. Do we say that in English? Like, I don't think I ever, like, have called a restaurant itself delicious. That might be, like, a dialect thing, though. That might be, like, some other places do that, but I don't think I've ever called a building delicious. Yeah, you'd say, like, the restaurant's pretty good, I guess. But I don't know. It's just, the way it was translated made it read like they were calling, like, ooh, the bricks taste good. Only if you're Godzilla. Yeah, only if you're playing Rampage. Spotsu o miru. We're just using a verb marker here. And then near listener, Soko. Soko no restaurant wa oishii desu. For a summary now, we got 21 out of 21. We got everything there. So we've done 18. If we keep up this pace, it should be less than a year for us to go through all the way through Boon Pro to N1. And that's a pretty good goal, you know? Max out all the lessons up to N1. But, I feel like I might have a meltdown if I go really, really, really fast. But, I think 18 is manageable. Doing like 18 lessons over the course of a week. I'm going to be doing the reviews on my own, and if you guys are also like picking up Boon Pro, I'd recommend that you guys just do that on your own time. I'm going to go through the grammar on a week-by-week basis, because I think that'll be a good way to have a steady load. N1 in 1 year! Clickbait? I learned N1 in 1 year? VTuber Japanese genius? Tensai? But, you know, just because the bar says we get to N1, I don't think it actually means that we will be at N1. But yeah, I think this is a very good website, you know? You can see the day that I actually did the 3 lessons. I planned doing this on... or I messed around with it on the 26th. Look, ordering food is hard. That conversation was traumatizing. That whole like 30 to 45 minute span with BMO actually messed with my mental. It's not the reason why I haven't done a Japanese stream since then. A lot of life things happened over the past month, but man, that hit. If you are studying Japanese literature, and I believe that. I believe that absolutely. And I think if you're just focusing on studying literature and reading, getting to N1 is great. Because, I mean, studying literature doesn't necessarily require the conversational skills, it just requires that grammar skills. So, I think it's a really good way, because a lot of what I do is mostly reading. A lot of what I've been doing to immerse myself in the language is reading. Sorry. So, I'm wondering how well I'll be able to keep up with this. You want to get to at least N3. That's a goal that I want as well. I hope at the very least. I have plans to go to Japan next year, if all goes well, if everything goes to plan. Originally, I was supposed to go to Japan last year, but we all know what happened last year. Yeah, I'd imagine. A lot of people talk about like N4 and N5 being pretty easy, and I do know that a lot of people, like, you have to put in a lot more of a grind to get to that next level. And it's something I want to do, even if like my conversational skills do suffer. Being able to just recognize and familiarize myself with a language, I think is like a really good goal to have. I also like here, you can see they have some tools here, just looking at the rest. They have these I talked about earlier. They have grammar, so you could bookmark like specific parts of grammar, which I probably should have done. Let me see, actually no, not here. I want to bookmark some of the ones that I wasn't familiar with, because that's going to be the kind of stuff that I need to take a look at. Let me take a look. Review 0. Let me see if I can see what I did. I didn't want this. Tobira was pretty good for studying N3. Oh! Tobira, that's another app, right? I think I've heard of Tobira before. I remember I wanted to get this bookmark. I know this. Please, I don't need a tutorial. I just want to attach a bookmark to this. Self-study? Oh, that's really cool! Oh, I don't know what that font is. It looks very like Japanese brushstroke, but with English characters. That's really cool that you can make your own practice problems here as well. I think that's really neat. Alright, I just want to bookmark this. How do I do that? Greek? Grammar, all. I study grammar. Oh, and you can see all. Look at all this. You could even see what's coming up later, which I think is pretty neat as well. Tokitara, Bazo, To areba. I don't even know how to read that. Jidan desu, to iu tokoro, ni momashita. Like if I wanted to, I could see what like the N1 grammar rules are. But that's really cool, how it's all separated like that. Wait, is this just N5? I don't think it's just N5. It's gotta be, yeah, N4 and so on. But I think it's really fascinating how they have all this. Oh, and you can cram entire ends. That's really cool. And then I assume, let's see, study grammar, cram. Oh, so we could go through everything that we've done so far. So the bag has a topic for the sentence is dirty, or the bag wa kitanai. We could do to not eat, tabenai. Daisuki desu. Oh, I didn't mean to confess to you guys like that. Daisuki desu. I didn't mean it. It just slipped. I'm married. The classroom is there. Koko wa kyoshitsu. Eh? Oh, kore wa kyoshitsu. Kore. Eh? Oh wait, dear listener, I'm dumb. Sore. Soko. I'm telling this. No. It's okay if we think about the viewers as an entire entity, as one person. It's not a woman, so she'll be fine. Here is outside. As for here, it is outside. And don't forget to work on your phonics. Right. That's a big thing with like pronunciation that I need to get used to as well. Like making sure that my phonetics are solid. Place near speaker. Here is outside. Soko wa soto desu. Place near speaker. Koko wa. I'm like reading the the English instructions incorrectly. I speak this language. I should know what to be doing. Dear listener, that place is the bathroom. Soko wa toire desu. Kore wa migi daro, because it's the masculine assertive. Daro. Ashita blank. Getsuyobi desu. Tomorrow is Monday. So, ashita wa Getsuyobi desu. Karinai. The casual negative to positive negative. Or polite negative. To not borrow. So that would be karimasen. And then this would be kawa ga aru. There is a river. Explaining. Oh, kawa ga aru no. So if we're saying that there is a river because someone's asking about it, asking us to explain that, we end it with that no. Kawa ga aru no. And ski. Polite assertive is desho. One thing that trips me up. So this is desho. And this is desho. Like, we just extend that U sound a little bit, I guess. Desho. I feel like I sound so weird when I do the extra U sound at the end. I don't know if I'm like pronouncing something weirdly or like missing something in how to pronounce it. That over there is good. Asoko. That over there won't trip me up. It'll trip me up when I type it wrong though. Asoko. No, it's asoko. Dummy. Asoko. I must have hit. Looking for. Oh, are ga ii desu. Kyo. Oh, today's night. So instead of saying today is nighttime, Oh yeah. Tonight. It's more like a short stop with a short O. The show? The show? I imagine the short stop is without the U sound at the end. Is what you're saying? And O. The show. Or the show. Ah. The show. And the show. Okay. I'm sure it must get tiring to hear me try to figure that one out, work that one out. I get it. I get it. I think it's just like Incognito said, I had to practice my phonetics there. It's those yo, those small y sounds attached to like consonants that are really gonna be tripping me up. So tonight is Kyou no yoru. Harada wa ookii. The body is big. That's what I think whenever I play Strive, and then I walk into a Leo or a Potemkin, and I'm playing, I don't know, damn Kai, little small man, and Potemkin just hits me with a hammerfall or gets me with a pop buster. I'm just like, ooh, that's a big body. Oh, they're talking about that body. So body is being emphasized, so that means karada ga ookii. Okay, oh, emphasizes what follows. Oh, like, watashi wa VTuber. I am VTuber. But body is big, so it's watashi, or karada ga. I see. So body is what's being emphasized as opposed to big being emphasized. Okay. We're picking it up. We're learning here. Far from the speaker and listener. That over there is my book. Are wa watashi no hon desu. Osato. So that's sugar? That looks so complicated. There is sugar? Ga-aru. Oh. It's the existence. Ga-aru. I see. I like that it has a big oops when you get something wrong here as well. It really makes you feel like a silly. Onaji, casual. It is the same. Onaji da. Yeah, instead of undo, it says oops. Party o imasu. Or is it gonna be suru? It doesn't say if they want casual or formal. Suru. And then yeah, it says either or. Less intimidating than the. Oh my god, those JLPT practice tests. Their buzzer when you get something wrong sounds so like angry at you. Mr. Hayao Miyazaki is famous. I like that it makes sense. It makes sense when they use san and translate it as Mr. But it just sounds so funny to me. Mr. Miyazaki, they could say, but I guess it says the full name. Like, I don't know, we don't really commonly refer to someone by their full first name, last name when they call them Mr. Mr. Hayao Miyazaki is famous. Miyazaki Hayao-san wa yume desu. Yume. And then irei da. Is this gonna be da or ga aru? It is da. Kore wa pen desu ka? And then near the speaker, this is a book. Kore wa hon desu. Does this go on forever? Oh, it says 21 out of 22. Kore to sore wa watashi no desu. And then this is also convenient. Here's the speaker. This is kore mo benri. Oh, benri. Oh, benri is convenient. I knew that combination. I learned that in Wanikani. And to memorize kanji, object marker. Kanji o oboeru. When does this end? Oh, we just wrap it up. Okay, that's pretty cool. So you can go on as long as you want, and they'll just keep on throwing practice problems at you. This is really cool, actually. Like, because Wanikani, you have to wait and wait and wait, because they use that SRS that they have more of an emphasis on that stress, on that spaced repetition system. But here, if you really wanted to, you could get more practice with these grammar rules. Osato ga aru. Awesome. And that's it. Submit. and you just go back. That's pretty cool. And we still have our regularly planned schedules. That's it. Alright. So that was a pretty good session. What I want to do now... So, I would like to get back to, I think this is a pretty good time to wrap up the session, you know? So, we've been here for about almost an hour and a half right now. So, let's just find someone to visit, you know? Who can we pay a visit to? Who's online right now? I think we had a pretty solid study session here. Let's see who we can pay a visit to. Let's pay a visit to Valis. Valis rated me a while ago, so I'd like to return the favor. Let's take a visit to Valis the Machine Elf, who was playing Metro Last Light. /raid. I have it in Hiragana, so I ended up typing -e-d. Raid Valis the Machine Elf. So thank you everyone for coming out. I hope you guys were able to learn something or remember things that you may have studied in the past. And next time we study, it'll be on Thursday at 6, as it usually is. Or it might not be again, because I have family over, so the timing for this kind of stuff is a little different than it usually is. But I'll keep everyone posted on Twitter. If you guys follow me there, you'll be able to see when I do it. I probably should make my stream alerts a little bit more obvious as to what I'm doing, because I think I haven't changed my message yet, so it still just says the classroom is open for no matter what I'm doing. But I should probably change that on the Twitch dashboard so, like, people know if I'm doing, like, Fire Emblem or, like, an action game or studying. But yeah, that's it. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson, and I'll see you next time. Class is dismissed.